If you had the opportunity to live in a children's wonderland, would you choose anywhere else? We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Good day and welcome to Real Talk with myself, Anele, coming to you live on SABC 3 where the stage is yours this Tuesday afternoon. So I am excited about my guest today. He is one of the most sought after and booked motivational speakers in South Africa, having sold out shows in Las Vegas. Yeah, people go for serious things in Las Vegas. Sold out in Mauritius, in Dubai, as well as Cape Town. At the age of 17, he was ranked first in Africa for public speaking and third in the world at the English Union International Competition. He delivered his first professional talk in 2002 and over the years has shared many global stages with global minds such as Levi Strauss Co Executive VP James Curleigh, Arianna Huffington of Huffington Post, and crisis management guru Judy Smith. He is the youngest director on a JSE listed company, having made his first million at the age of 23. What were you doing at 23, huh? Hailing all the way from Benoni, the man known as the rock star of public speaking, Vusi Thembekwayo is in the building. And you're here with your good shoes. Yeah. Like, you guys have to see these shoes. These are good shoes.
Oh, man.
I thought they were socks, but they're not. They're part of the shoe. They say I've got money, you know the shoes.
Yeah, these are bowtie.eu. I bought them in Milan.
Oh.
I get you a pair. We got the hookup.
Oh, okay. I see that. Listen, I have a lot of people on the show, ne?
Right.
I have rappers,
Right.
I have actors,
Right.
I have comedians, and I always play a game with myself to see how many people is in the entourage.
Right.
Vusi, how many people are in your entourage?
Nah, it's just me. God is good. It's just me.
Don't worry, I can count. 5.
Don't do this.
Who?
Don't do this.
Who's in your entourage?
Yeah, look, I mean, you work a lifetime to build a reputation. It's important to make sure that you protect it. That's all it is.
Oh, is that what they do? They
That's
like.
all it is. You need mirrors in your life.
Okay.
You need people who are going to make sure that you are honest to who you are, just true to who you are. And are also not, you'll understand it, because you're fairly public, there's a lot of noise coming at you.
True.
So you need somebody who can make sure that you listen to the signals and not the noise. Otherwise, it's just too much noise. It's too much, it's too loud.
So, and I spent a brief amount of time with them downstairs.
Sure.
They strike me as the type of people who are not in awe of you.
Yeah, and that's very important, right? So
Why is that important?
Well, because you need people who can call you out. You need people who can say, that's not consistent with who you are. You need people who can say, yeah, maybe not now. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm fairly impulsive. I want to do something, I want to do it now, get it done now. And sometimes timing is important. So you just need people around you who make sure that you are on the path and you are protected sometimes from yourself, because often we're our own worst enemies.
Of course.
You know, so there's that old expression about
people
make
implode.
Sure that, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just make sure you don't get in your own way. And I tend to do that quite a bit, yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Ekukhanyeni.
Oh, okay, you have my attention. How on earth do you know about Ekukhanyeni?
Is that's your first school, eh?
Yeah, man.
That was the black school.
Yeah, if by that you mean there were no white folks, yeah, you're right.
Not
you're
even
right.
a teacher. Okay.
Yeah, so I went to this most of them. I mean, Ekukhanyeni was so cool. We had a principal, Teacher Ngatele, I still remember him. He passed from cancer, shame. Lovely old man, God bless his soul. And he was very strict. You know, he'd go to Buyeskolen and he'd have, you know, those sticks that were like from the tree, but it was a long stick.
Yeah.
And he could hit you with it, and the stick had its own character. It would like swing back and forth.
Oh,
you know, so he'd hit you once, and this thing would hit you twice. It was like that stick had its own life.
And that's back in the day where you could get disciplined at school.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And then they'll send you home, and then they'll be like, you tell your mama we whipped you, and then your mom is like, now
I'm also
going to get you in on it.
100%. I mean, I don't know if you remember, they used to give us those packets for school. At the beginning beginning of the year, it had the books in it.
Yes, I remember
the
that.
books with the pens.
Yes.
And then you had to, did you guys get the peanut butter as well? The peanut butter sandwich?
No, we had Nutella.
Get out of here. Apparently government wasn't feeding no black people Nutella.
I was in the homeland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were free. Bantustan.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome, Joburg. There's lights here.
I know. We came here at Translax. I was like, what? What's going on here? So you say you're an entrepreneur with such ease, and I love that.
Yeah.
Eko Kanyeni, were you the one selling boiled eggs?
No.
And so you weren't that kid?
No. I don't, it's like, I'm not the fibber type. I was never the sell chappies at school kind of kid.
Okay.
I wasn't that. I was too academic. Like I was very focused on the studies.
So when you were at Eko Kanyeni, you were
Yes.
2 years ahead.
Yes.
Because they promoted you so many
Exactly
times
right,
because you
yeah.
were that smart.
How did you know this? No, I'm legit. Like a decade doing interviews, I've never had people who've been able to get this kind of information. So yeah, I was 2 years ahead of my own grade. I was,
Say it.
I was gifted.
I
I was
there you
gifted.
go.
I
was a genius.
And
look
I
at-
had then, I still do now actually, the ability to retain information. So people who work in my businesses will tell you, you tell me something today, I won't write it down, but I'll remember. And I'll remember exactly what you said and exactly how you said it and exactly what you committed. So it's an important trait to have, to retain information that you choose to commit to memory.
So when you grow up knowing that you're a little bit of a Matilda, right? And then you go to the white schools, as we call them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're one of the first blacks to go to these schools.
Yeah.
And they take you back 2 years. That must knock your self-esteem to nowhere.
I fought it hard, so I was irritated. And the hardest thing for me was, so my father and I had the most amazing relationship. My dad was a black belt karateka, and as a result, he got me into the sport. So my father and I had a very, I would say, a relationship where I could relate with him at a peer level, but I was always very clear, ubaba.
Yes.
Like there'd be a point where he'd call it and I wouldn't argue it, right? So the only reason I accepted it was because my dad was like, what's the rush? Like, you joining this new school, and I'll take. Do you know how they committed me 2 years back?
Yeah.
They used to do these tests. So they put me through the math test, ace it.
Yeah.
Put me through the English test, ace it. Then they put me through the Afrikaans test.
Oh, well, duh.
And I'm like, I don't speak
Nee,
Afrikaans.
vakansie.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll never forget, the lady, Mrs. Olivier, said to me, "What is this in Afrikaans?" And it was a kitchen, and I didn't know a kitchen is kombuis.
Kombuis.
So I was like, I don't know. And just for that alone, they put me back 2 years.
Was your English that you brought to the white school this English?
Yeah, no, I'm like, darling is shy. Darling is shy.
I've been out here.
I see them now watching, because this people are on multi-choice. They're learning I've been
out here.
No, we're not new to this game.
Listen, I am pretty sure you have got many questions, many comments for Vusi. We want to hear all of them. So please send us a voice note on our WhatsApp line. You'll see the number on the screen. As I'm saying this, Vusi and I will be back right now. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. You're watching Real Talk with myself, Anele. Vusi Thembekwayo. It's strange that you can't just call you Vusi. As we must say, Vusi Thembekwayo is a globally renowned speaker who has straddled between commerce and motivating people to build an impressive global profile. That's what I'm trying to say. He's been named as one of the greatest, youngest public speakers under the age of 40, and today he is here. So when I Google you,
Yeah.
it says Vusi Thembekwayo. Okay, first Vusi Nova comes up first. You're going to have to talk to someone about that.
That's the singer guy.
Yeah.
We need to have that. I'll call Google.
It just means we like romantic music more than we like to make money, clearly.
Yeah, I'll call Google. I'll have a chat with him.
I'm sure you've got their number. Like,
On speed dial.
call that Google guy. So it says Vusi Thembekwayo, and then age. So people are more interested in how old you are.
Right.
How old are you?
32.
32. Okay, cool. And then it says net worth.
Hey, next.
No, I didn't ask you for a net worth. I was wanting you to agree with me.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Right.
it says wife.
Nazo.
Okay, so people are interested in how old you are, how much money you're making, and who's spending the money.
Yeah, I made the decision a long time ago that, so first, and you'll know better than me, Anele, but my sense is that public life, I certainly didn't set out to live a public life.
Yeah.
I just set out to do really good work. Like, that's all I'm interested in. I want to be the best at what I do. But if you study history, you also realize people who are the best at what I do tend to get public profile.
Yes,
right?
so the curiosity.
Yeah, because
you want to know what makes it tick.
Exactly, right. So
why does it pick this?
Exactly.
How did it pick this?
Yeah. In any pursuit, if you get to the top of the game, you're going to attract public attention. So when for me I made the decision that I wanted to be the best there was and the best there ever will be at what I do, I knew it was going to come with a bit of public attention, and quite deliberately made the decision that would be my burden to carry, not my family's. As a result,
you keep it that way.
I keep it that way because I value the anonymity that I grew up with, that I could grow up and make mistakes, and that I wasn't judged on those mistakes on the back of what I wasn't judged by those mistakes on the back of who Baba was, right? So, and I think it's important for my kids, it's important for Nkosikazi, it's important for everybody in my life to live their lives, and that my work is my work and my life is my life.
Did you close the doors on your life earlier on because your family went through a lot of financial struggle after your dad passed away? So you're like, everyone can go to people's houses for the weekend and to go play games, but no one's coming to my house because my house is not what I want anyone to witness.
Sure. I suppose a bit of that. But I have to say, my mother to this day is my hero. I don't know, I don't know how she kept it all together. So first, when my father died, we come from a very traditional family, and there was expectations around whether or not we would keep the house in the first place. Then expectations around whom of my father's brothers would take my father's place. Then my mother was just like, she was a superwoman. So she fought all of this off, and after having fought that, which I thought would have been emotionally exhausting, then went on to raise us. And it's the going on to raise us. To this day, I don't know because we were not people of means, and I don't want to dishonor my mother's memory and say, but it wasn't easy. And I recognize now, being a father and being a person of the world, I recognize how tough it was. I'll give you an example. I've calculated that what my mother made a month when I was in high school is probably less than my fuel bill for my cars a month.
Your cars?
Yeah, so I don't know how she did it. I cannot tell you how she did it. But there's the most amazing thing, I think, to learn and realize, Uguti, you know that old expression where there's a will, there's a way? Man, that stuff's true. Like, she just made it happen. My mom made magic happen. Tupac is that beautiful song about how you made miracles happen every Thanksgiving. Yeah. My mom was that.
My parents show you that, I understand.
That's it.
But when you're in it, right, and when you're a child, it's in hindsight, this is hindsight, right? Hindsight is easy to be quite spiritual about it and all of that. But when you're in it as a child, when you are in a school where all the other kids can afford, like for instance, you didn't like Civi's Day. Yeah. Tell us why you didn't like Civi's Day.
Oh man, whoever does your research, I need to find them and poach them from you. So, first, when you're a young person, brand is everything.
Yes.
Right? So So it's like it's not just you're wearing shoes. It's what shoe are you wearing? It's not just you're wearing jeans. It's what pair of jeans are you wearing, right? So you never want to be the kid who's wearing jeans from a certain store because like if it's a MR per se, it doesn't carry the same currency as a Levi, right? So the reason I hated Civis was because I only ever had like a single set of things I could wear at any year that were socially appropriate, right? Most of the stuff, my mom did the most amazing thing. She took my dad's clothes and she had them resized for me, right? So, but I can't go, I'll give you an example. Oh my God. I've never actually shared this with anyone, but on opening day, when we went to Benoni High, I was wearing my father's suit. And it's hard when you stand there and there's rows and rows of kids and everyone's looking at you like you come from a different planet. But that's all I could wear. Do you know what I mean? Like that was it. There was nothing else. Jacket like this is, but I recognize that for me, I'm not here for this. I'm here for what this place is going to give me, this thing called education.
So you know full well what you're using this vehicle for.
100%.
Like, I'm not here for a long time. I'm
100%.
just here to get the education, and I'm going to be great.
100%. Sorry, I just want to say,
go.
I think an important part of the mental conditioning, a part of the reason God has been so good in my life and I've been able to achieve the things I've achieved, is precisely because every time society has tried to dictate what I should do, I didn't understand it at the time, but when I was a kid, I was building on this emotional capital to be able to tell society, actually, I'm not going to play by your rules. And a part of that is going to an opening day, and everybody's talking about, oh, nice pair of Filas. Oh, those are the new Jordans. Oh, man, that's the next 23. And you're like, you know. But this is where we are. You see and I recognize it, and I'm thankful to God that I'm privileged enough to be here because I'm here to get the education, nothing else.
That discipline, did that come from the fact that your dad put you in martial arts as well? So you were able to decipher what matters and what doesn't?
No, that came from Uma.
Okay.
Like I'd love to, you know,
Okay.
I'd love to be able to say it was that, but it wasn't. My mother was and still is. My mother has the most amazing and uncanny ability to decipher what matters from what doesn't very quickly. And then she would go through this thing where she would iteratively tell you all the time, this is what's important, this is what's not, this is what's important, this is what's not. So sooner or later, you begin to know how to do it yourself. Do you know what I mean?
It becomes like, you know, your default setting.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've got soccer boots, I don't have shin guards. Didn't you say you want to ball? So like go do this thing, right? And it's just been a big lesson for me that I've learned from Mama, which is just decipher what matters from what doesn't and focus on what matters, because sooner or later society will forget the other stuff. It moves on. It's trends anyway, and it'll pass, and then you'll live the life you've wanted to live invariably.
Listen, bring those WhatsApps, because now I know you have questions to ask him. Trust me, I'll give you a chance. And here's a quick reminder of our weekly at-home competition. You can win yourself a 5,000 Rands e-card. It's up for grabs. Check out our social media pages to find out how to enter. After the break, we continue this marvelous chat with Vusi Thembekwayo. Stay with us.
So the idea here is that to aim to be the best in what you do, not the biggest. Size will come. Size always comes. So people lied to us when they said it's size that matters. It isn't. It's simply being the best.
If you've just joined us, Arashem Udoile in studio with me, self-confessed perfectionist who only demands high standards and always expects people to bring their A game. Global motivational speaker, rock star of public speaking, Vusi Thembekwayo is our guest today. Twitter is in love with you right now, which is
rare.
Funny. We're gonna get to that. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Right now, Masiko Eng says, I can relate, Shame. I too was in a township school, and when I went to the other schools, I was too poor to be. So I was too poor to be in private schools, but too rich to be in township schools. And oh my word, Vusi, your story is so inspiring. Vusi's mom sounds like an incredible mom. Alala to her. So I just want to touch on it quickly, and I don't know if I'll be rude to want to, speak about your father like that quickly, but you witnessed your dad getting shot 9 times.
Yeah, it was tough.
Okay. Every time you speak about it, you say your little brother went for therapy, your little brother went for counseling. Did you go for counseling?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, I think I counseled differently. I think, so for me, the dojo became the place of counsel. It became the outlet. It became the place. it became the place to which I could refer when I felt that I was not within my element. And I also have to say to you that I think ekhaya we had it work. My sister, you know, ngesintu umuntu meshonile kufanele nambe nomgeza.
Yes.
My sister went to kuyogeza uba. And I think that for me, that was tough. It's one thing to see loss of life. It's quite another to see life lost, especially of your hero. You must. If you just allow me, my dad was a rock star, but like a proper rock star. Like, if you any part of Wattville, if you go and say Undondo, like my dad was a rock. I hated walking around with my dad, because everybody knew him. I mean, why are you greeting this guy? And this, like a 5-minute walk becomes a 2-hour
Stop and go.
stroll now. You're taking I'm like, what bang lambini? Some sort of thing, what's right? So that was so I think for my sister it was harder because she watched the hero gone.
Yeah.
You know, she watched the shell remain. Yeah, as I said, I think I deferred. I always defer to the dojo. And by the way, it's a big part of, even today, how I've built my work ethic and my discipline. This thing around
martial arts.
I just put in the hours, man. You know, martial arts is a special, you know, so I did martial arts, I did music, I played the violin, etc. But everything else I did is as a result of the martial arts.
Of course he plays the violin. Of course he plays the violin.
Because, yeah, I mean, you know, the idea that you've got to do your kata over and over and over and over and over, same movement, same rotation. Even today as an entrepreneur, when you build a business, you've got to do the simple things over and over and over. And it is in the application it is in the iteration and application that excellence is achieved. And I think that's what people don't understand. So people go, so how do you get to number one of the thing? You actually just have to do the simple things, but do them every day religiously and each time with a consistent discipline. That's the mark. That's how you get there.
So how does a troubled teenager become the best public speaker in Africa at 17?
Completely by chance.
English teacher.
Yeah. So Mrs. Buchanan, my English teacher, was amazing. And at the time, obviously, as a teenager, I thought, mfagelukshisa, as they say.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in class, actually, having a conversation with a friend about a young lady I'd seen during break. And I was trying to explain to John Thompson, young white kid, about this girl, right? And John doesn't get it. I'm like, man, you know. So being expressive, you know, I'm trying to explain with, hey, chief, like, yay, you know.
It's all there, okay? It's there.
Woo! You know, there's some things you just have to scream it out. I was like, woo! Yeah. So I'm trying to explain, but he doesn't get it. And in my trying to explain it to him, she heard the conversation. She didn't hear the substance of it, but she heard Udis Bangum Sind. So she comes to me and she says, Mamelela, you're either, I'm putting you in detention. I've just explained my mother to you. I'm not going home. To
sign a detention slip.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So I begged her. At the end of the period. In fact, I remember I was late for my next period. Yeah. I begged her. I'm like, Nyaqel, anything but detention. And so she says, well, you know, I'm in the Public Speaking Society. There's a competition taking place. If you agree to come and compete, I'll put you off the detention. And that's kind of how I got into it.
Okay, now this WhatsApp voice note for you is rather fitting for this moment. Let's have a listen. Yes. It's a kid. He wants to know how to start public speaking. Is that volume up?
Good evening to our guest, Moses Anele. My name is Ntlokoma Masangwane and I'm in Matric. I'd like to know from our guest, Dada, what are the careers that are available to people who are public speakers? And can someone really make a living from it without having anything on the side?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So I'll answer the second one first, which is, can someone make a living from it? Absolutely. I mean, there are ample people. Let me just quickly say, there are different types of speakers, right? So there are professional speakers who make a living purely from speaking. There are those of us who are business speakers who run businesses, and of the fact that we run businesses and are successful at it, we get invited all over the world to tell people what we do and how we do it. Right. So the importance here is to understand which of those you want to be. But then the first question, which is, can you make a living from public speaking? I say this to every person I meet, which is, public speaking is a skill, it's a tool. And it is, in my view, the single most important skill of any person who sees themselves as a leader in the new age. The ability to communicate or the lack of it often determines the extent to which you will succeed in life. So when you're going into an interview, it's about whether or not you can sell yourself.
Persuasion.
Exactly right.
That's
It's exactly
all it is.
right.
CEOs spend 90% of their time
Exactly.
persuading people to do things.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And so your ability to communicate, to speak in public, as a result of it, often will determine how society perceives you and how successful you'll become at whatever pursuit you do.
Now, knowing full well, and I'm going to continue from his question, Uputilo, knowing full well that we can't follow your steps, how would somebody who wants to get into public speaking, how would you tell them to start?
So the first thing I say to anyone who says, I want to become a speaker, is it's like wanting to become a singer. Sing, right? So the practice and the iteration is the single most important. Mina, when I started, I did a lot of work pro bono. So I'd get invited by Rotary clubs and I'd go and speak at places because I wanted to get into the application of the skill so I could get better at it, right? So there is a difference between being a paid speaker and a speaker. So the first thing I say to people is just speak. If you get invited to speak at your kids', I don't know, graduation ceremony, go. If you get invited to speak at church, do it. If you get invited to MC a friend's wedding, do it. Start practicing this thing you want to do. When you make the decision that you then want to become a professional speaker, the best thing to do is to ask yourself the single most important question, which is speak about what? And most people don't do that. So people go, I want to speak, sure. About what?
The content.
The content is important because once you know about what, you then answer to whom. So if I know I want to speak about X, then I need to ask myself, but who needs to hear it? Once I answer the question, who needs to hear it, I know who to talk to. That's the market built. Right. This is just entrepreneurship 101, really. So I'm well dressed and I like to speak about fashion. Okay. To whom? Well, typically people who want to dress well are people who are in corporate and want to be perceived to be successful. Right. So who do I need to go to? I need to go to corporates who employ people and want their people to look a certain way so that I can get them to invite me to come and speak there. That's where I go.
Okay. Speaking of that's where I go, I want to get into a car. You 17 years old and I want to drive and my destination is you making your first R1,000,000. I need to know which street we took, which speed bump, which pie we bought. I want to know all of that. We'll be right back with all of that GPS vibes.
In the new age, and what our research shows us, is that 10,000 hours is important as a premise. But in the modern day, speed is more important than time spent. It doesn't follow that because you've spent 2 decades doing something, an incumbent couldn't beat you having done it for 2 years. All they have to do is learn at a rate faster than you and deliver value at a rate faster than you are. And so in the modern day, speed is critical. Time spent, not as important as it used to be.
In conversation with global business speaker Vusi Thembekwayo, who's making waves internationally as a thought-provoking young business leader with many ideas on solving economic issues in Africa. Do you have any other clothes besides a suit?
I was never ready. Yes, I
Really?
do. Yeah.
Like shorts and t-shirts?
Yeah, man. Like I rock my telelas with my Tims sometimes. You know.
What would happen for you?
By the way, I have to tell you, I live in All Stars. Like my favorite pair of shoes is Converse All Star. Like I collect. Like I'm a huge Converse.
I feel like you're saying that to be down with us, like down with the people.
We can do this. Like I'm just here. We can go. Like, if you come to, I mean, it's everywhere in the city I go, I've got a single rule. Anytime I go to a new city, anywhere in the world, got to get a pair of Converse All Stars from that place. I'm a huge Converse fan.
So what's... No, it's fine.
Do anything but the suit.
Yeah. You travel a lot. You are away from home a lot.
Yeah. And
I believe that the furthest you are away from home is the clearest your mind will ever be.
Sure.
Where is your mind the clearest?
There is a beautiful place and of all the places in the world I've been.
Yeah.
But there is, and I'm sure you've been there, in Zanzibar.
No, I have not.
Okay, well, there's a beautiful place in Zanzibar. It's called Hideaway of Nungwi. So you fly, I typically like the Tanzania flight. So I fly into Dar and then I connect to Zanzibar. But you can fly to Zanzibar directly. And it's about a 2.5 hour drive. And you get to this beautiful place called Hideaway of Nungwi. It's like in the middle of nowhere. And then you drive into it, and as you drive in, it's got this beautiful infinity pool. You can see it from reception, and it's at the back of something that looks like a mountain valley. So all the rooms cascade down. So when you walk in at reception, you see this beautiful infinity pool and the ocean.
Oh, wow. Serene.
Heaven. Heaven. You
And
can
now
go
I know
scuba,
why
you go
that
scuba
hotel
diving
is
there.
called
There's
the
no
Cascades.
Wi-Fi. You can do all sorts of things. There's no Wi-Fi, which is why I like it, because then you just disappear from the world. That is, without question, one of my favorite places on earth.
Okay. We've got a WhatsApp. Let's hear it.
Hi, Vusi. I missed the date because I knew you were coming. You are that important. I have one question for you, however. Would you, in this day and age, in this economy, in these circumstances rather, would you advise young Black South Africans to go and pursue tertiary education, and why?
Wow, that's a question.
Yeah, without a question, yes.
Why?
Well, because my own view is one of the biggest challenges we face in South Africa is we've got a leadership class that is not motivated by academic knowledge and research. As a result, it makes decisions based on what seems popular, not what is proven to work.
Popular or self-serving.
Yeah, so remember, it's proven all over the world. The more people you educate, you elevate the level of conversation. You see it on Twitter. The reason it's hard on Twitter for something that is of substance to trend is because people don't want the stuff that is of substance. They want the flaky stuff. So if you elevate the level of education and conversation, then you just see it changes the way people behave. So I would say to that question, yes. But second is, regardless of where the country is now around availability of jobs and economic growth, et cetera, we need more, particularly young Black people who are able to fend for and think for themselves. And a big part of that is just getting an education.
And getting an education would enhance you as an entrepreneur, because 100%. I think where the country is now is we need to breed more entrepreneurs.
100%.
And you are saying that you will be a better entrepreneur if you've got education behind you.
100%. You know, this morning I was speaking to a group of entrepreneurs invited by the Innovation Hub. And I had to spend a solid 10 minutes of my time building an income statement. So why would I build an income statement for entrepreneurs? Because I was trying to explain to them why the hardest way to create wealth, it's also the most rewarding way to create wealth, but the hardest way to create wealth is to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because if you follow the flow of the income statement and you see who gets paid first, if you just go through the income, first the suppliers, then you pay your staff, then you pay the government taxes, then you pay the bank interest, then you pay yourself dividends. So the entrepreneur in the business gets paid last. But unless we go through an education system that teaches us these things, what happens is we breed entrepreneurs, you're seeing it now, who think entrepreneurship is instant money. Do you see? Whereas any person who's a real entrepreneur, and I'm not, with respect, I'm not talking about people who pose as entrepreneurs, I'm talking real entrepreneurs, will tell you that it takes a long time and it's very hard. So that's why you need an education for people who want to be an entrepreneur. And it doesn't have to be commercial education. Like you can go study architecture, doesn't matter.
As long as you've studied the discipline of
the thing.
Repetition.
Like study the thing, be in the thing. And then a last note on this. We also, I think, are at a stage where we need to begin to have critical thinking conversations. And the greater or less the extent to which we are educated is the greater or less the extent to which we can have conversations that center on actual critical thought. Like if Anele says something, am I going to challenge what she's saying, or am I going to challenge how she's saying it? Or am I going to challenge who she is? So again, just watch what is trendy. Vusi says something. I don't attack what he's saying.
I attack Vusi.
I go, why does he talk like that? Like,
why does he talk like that?
Why umnyama kanje? Like, umnyama bambungenapi? Like, can we have a conversation about this thing I'm saying? So this ad hominem, it's called, but this way of attacking the player, not the ball, is typically what happens when we don't focus on breeding a culture of critical thinking. That's why our politicians can take us for granted and take us for a ride. You know, I had a tour recently with someone. And the minister of police went and said something on my timeline. And I was going to respond and I didn't. And my response was going to be, my father was gunned down when I was 13 years old. The docket was lost twice. There was no reward issued for the people who killed my father. Please get off Twitter and go find those people. But that's a critical thinking conversation. And South Africans need to ask themselves, why are people in public office being on places where they are seen to be doing things? Why aren't they just doing the thing? That's what happens when you lower the barrier and the standard of quality of conversation.
Do you remember all of this like well-packaged execution of self when you are angry?
No, not. I think recent events would prove that's not always the case. Look, I have come to accept, Anele, and I have come to accept that I'm a human being. Right?
Good.
So there are. I think I spend a lot of time thinking. I also read come to my office and all you see is just books. And everybody who comes to my office goes, "Oh, these are nice books. Can I borrow one? Have you read it?" And I go, "Anything you see here, I've read." So I read religiously. As a result, my opinions are very informed. But in the moment of heat, you're going to find out. There's that's going to come out. There's the heat, the passion, the raw emotion. And I suppose when I've had the opportunity to simmer, I will then be more considerate about my view and my perspective. Eland, it's as I'm saying, I'm a growing person, and I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to learn.
So on Sunday, it was Sunday, ne?
Yeah,
it was on Sunday.
I can't remember.
This past weekend. No, not this weekend. The one we just came from. How else do I put this? When an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, we have problems. We will discuss that when we return. You know you want to come back, right?
Hi guys, so my inbox has been inundated with this whole morning's taxi strike in Joburg, and people asking me what are my thoughts on it. I just thought I'd share a couple of thoughts with you. As an entrepreneur, somebody who works with entrepreneurs, financing entrepreneurs and helping them build businesses, I think there can be no better in industry for black businesses to realize exactly what the problem is and what I mean when I say we need to change our thinking. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So it turns out that the taxi industry buys about 1,200 taxis every year. 82% of them come from Toyota specifically. The problem is, because they don't group themselves and buy in bulk, every time they go and buy from Toyota, they're buying in single units, so they don't get the right pricing margin and the right pricing discount. The second is, why are they buying from Toyota and not manufacturing their own local brand of taxis? Because think about it, if you manufacture 1,200 taxis every year, you have a ready business model, a ready business market.
And that's the post that sent 1,000 ships towards Troy. In hindsight, what do you want to say about that whole thing? First things first, wait, because people think you're here to clean your image after that. He was booked long ago. In fact, it was quite an issue for me because I was like, I'm not even going to comment here because he was my best friend, right? And I don't want to get involved because then if I say something, you're going to be like, okay, I'm not coming to your show anymore.
Sure.
And I need for you to come on because I want the country to hear from you. I think you're remarkable. Sure. So what do you have to say about it?
So, you know, I am of the era, and I come from a time when if I have something to address with Anele, I'm going to address it with Anele. I will not play to the gallery, any gallery, the Friends gallery, the Twitter gallery, I will not play to the gallery. My point of anger was, and I was angry then, and I'm angry now with being angry with myself with being angry about it, was we're talking about a person who has means. He's invited me on his show before. I've been on their radio station before, and he interviewed me there. So we're talking about the kind of person who, if he felt genuinely that I had in any way aggrieved him, he could have reached out and said, this is how I'm reading this situation, am I missing something?
So to your cell phone directly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because if I have that issue with you, that's how Vusi is going to handle it. At the very least, I'd follow you and say, hey, just DM me your number, I want to have a conversation with you.
Was he justified in being aggrieved?
No. And I'll tell you why. So what do people not know? I've just sold a large controlling share of my business to a US research and advisory firm. Do you know what my firm does? Research and advisory. The reason I get booked to speak all over the world, not just here, spend more time outside SA than here, is because what I speak about is what I know uniquely to be true. I know it uniquely to be true because we invest in research proving it to be so. So that post was based on research done desktop in the office, and I was putting out the post. In fact, about 5 minutes after the post, I was on stage presenting an entire business model around what taxis should be doing.
So it's a coincidence that you and Sizwe have the same views in the same way.
But there's a part of that that's coincidence. But here is for me the broader point, which is, and I then went and actually read the stuff he said. There's half of what I said which he didn't say. So I then spoke about not only the owning of the value chain of the industry, but the need to create adjacent industries. So financial services is an industry. The need to create the repairs an industry, the tires, these are all adjacencies that you can create in the sector and in the industry, but you have to own the core of it. The argument was we have to own the core of it. It wasn't based on the numbers. And by the way, I wasn't the first person to say it, neither was he. It turns out people have been saying this stuff on social media all the time.
So you guys were just speaking past each other, is this what you're saying?
No, we were not. My problem with him then, as it continues to be now, was simply that if he felt Ugutu Vusi had used his information, he could have reached out to Vusi and said, I think you're using my information. Is this the case? We would have had a 30-second conversation.
Would have ended there.
It would have been no farther. But what he was doing, and my view, by the way, regardless of whatever relationship, is he was playing quite deliberately to the Twitter gallery. It had to be, I'm going to take you on, and I want people to see it. The reason I'm angry with myself is because I walked right into it. And I walked into it because I felt, this is a person, I don't know him well, but I've met the guy.
Would you say you guys are similar though? I think that was what the main thing was. It's basically, like I say, an unstoppable force running into an immovable object.
So I don't know him well enough to make that statement.
Okay.
Suffices to say, and I say this with the greatest of humility, you don't reach my age and achieve what I achieved by allowing yourself to be bullied everywhere you go. So there is Vusi, but I've done well in business because if you come after me, I'm very happy to have the argument with you, right? What I'm sad about, and this for me is perhaps the only thing about which I'm truly sad, is there are young people who follow me, as I imagine there are young black people who follow him, who watched us behave this way and think it's okay, and it's not. And that for me was the point. The point is, we could have just had a conversation with it, finished. And it would have taken 30 seconds and we move on. But now what we've done is we've normalized two young, black, intelligent men having an argument over nothing really. And the only winner, in my view, was Black Twitter. The only winner in that whole conversation was Black Twitter. Because I didn't win, certainly, because I didn't need that kind of attention. That's not what I'm about. You know, I'm busy building the largest venture capital fund in the continent. Can we have that conversation? Can we talk about the fact that I'm Pan-African? Can we talk about the fact that I've just recruited 40 businesses? Can we talk about the fact that the sum total of the revenues of those businesses is over 400 million? Can we talk about the fact that I'm matching them with CEOs of large and listed companies? Can we talk about the fact that I want to list this business? Let's have that conversation.
To an extent, I was just like, I'm entertained because outside of the excellence that both of you guys portray all the time, there is a short circuit and there is normalcy in you guys. So sometimes just be okay with that. Like, no one is going to come into your bank account and climb in and take the money out now because you happen to like let the tie loose a little. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
And I think that's the main thing I wanted to say to you today. As I said to Sizwe, it's like, we're normal, guys. You are normal.
Point taken. When you see him, and I'm telling you in the full view of the nation, tell him the way he handled that was very poorly. It was, and I'm happy to say I handled it poorly the way I responded. Okay. But I think certainly the way he initiated the conversation was quite poor. And
so both of you are poor?
Both of us are human beings.
Not money-wise.
I don't know. You can check me out, but I don't know about his.
No, I have a good authority that right now. And that's how it ends, folks. Oh, Vusi, thank you so much for coming through. You can follow Vusi at www.vusi.co.za. This was amazing. And you can also follow him at mygrowthfund.co.za. We are back tomorrow looking at the state of public transport. Maybe Vusi will be back to talk about that. You don't want to miss this one. Bye for now. You've been awesome.